cutting edge or over the edge, body modifications are on the rise, and the most popular, body piercings, noses, nipples, and nothing we can show on here.
Hi friends!
Welcome to Pretty and Pierced. I'm Baby Girl.
And I'm BB.
Thanks for joining us on our first episode. So we kind of want to just do an intro for the first episode, talk about who we are, what we're doing, and what we want to do. So I'm Baby Girl, I'm 20 years old, and I'm from Dallas-Fort Worth.
And I'm BB. I'm from the Ozarks, Arkansas.
So my dad's actually a tattoo artist and has been my whole life. So I kind of grew up in the industry and knew that this is what I wanted to do. I graduated high school early and started my apprenticeship. By the time I was 18, I was piercing.
And I went to the Gemological Institute of America and studied jewelry professionalism and quickly discovered I don't like the environment. I don't like the customers that I have to deal with in the real estate jewelry industry. And I've always been interested in body piercing and tattoos and everything. I decided to take up on the opportunity and end up really good, and now we're here.
Definitely.
What are you guys' future goals?
So my futuristic goals are to open my own shop one day, follow my dad's footsteps in a sense. I want to be able to tattoo and pierce anything, in body modifications I want to be a part of. And yeah, that's what I'm going to work towards.
And obviously, I went to school to be a professional jeweler. Mm-hmm. So my dream and my future goal is to have my own body jewelry line. So I would really love to be working in a studio where I can sell my own jewelry, do my own piercings, really be my own muse for creativity and stuff.
Absolutely.
Whenever I graduated in jewelry professionalism and became a jeweler, I really didn't like kind of the environment and the customers I had to deal with, especially in real estate jewelry, which could be a jealousy thing because I can't afford real estate jewelry. Let's be real, it could be a jealousy thing. But I just really enjoy the environment I am whenever I'm in a studio or a tattoo shop. I get along with everyone a lot better. I feel like I'm more in my own space. And they're also really pure metal jewelry, that's a really important thing in the industry. And so I feel like it's just a better fit for me. So that is my future goal, even with the degree that I have and stuff. And it's just always been what I wanted to do for a really long time. I've always been interested in piercings and tattoos, but I'm not talented enough to be a tattoo artist.
It's a lot of work, and it's a lot different than what we do, too. We'll get more into that at a later date.
Oh, yeah.
But
I've never even considered being a tattoo artist. Jewelry is my thing. I could never do that.
Yeah. I think it's a hard way to find, a balance in between both. Mm-hmm. I think it's hard to value the, I guess, what's the word,
artistry,
not even that, but
the amount of effort
I think exactly, how much effort. I feel like there's always going to be the person, if they do both, that they lean more towards this or they lean more towards that.
Yes.
And I want to find a good balance in between.
Yes, because I
caring
feel
about both.
Half the time when you walk into a tattoo shop, it's and you want a piercing, it's some tattoo artist who's I can pierce your ears, that's easy, you know what I mean, compared to what they do. Yeah. So just seeing the beauty and the detail in the work that goes into piercing as well as tattooing, that's going to be an insane bridge for Kylie DeCross. Being able to master both of those techniques, you know, and actually working full time in both of those paths, that's going to really just leave her customers more satisfied. You know what I mean?
Yeah, be come to me for anything, guys.
For anything. I got it. Literally anything.
That's the goal,
Yes,
one day.
For sure. That's so for real. I mean, I remember when I first got my traguses pierced, I went to a tattoo shop trying to be responsible instead of going to Claire's. And this dude, like, it was just some tattoo artist, literally, like, pierced the side of my face. It was like,
That's crazy.
I went to work afterwards, and my manager was even like, why is that on your, like, you got a facial piercing, why is that nowhere near your tragus?
So this was the second time you got it done?
This was the first time I ever got it
No,
done.
I know, but like the one that you have now.
These are the third time
Damn.
I got them done. Yeah, I had to go to a piercing specialist to get these done, like someone who only does piercings, not tattoos as well.
Yeah.
And after that, breeze.
I do think though, like, I want to I guess say that like there are people who can do both and do them very well, and I'm definitely not like the first person to want to do well in both. But I think that there should be more. That's all. So
I don't know if it makes a difference, but it was also a woman who did them the last time. when they actually did good. So I will, no tea, no shade, but no, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, so, real quick, we wanted to show you some of our piercings. So on my body and face, I have my belly button. I'll show you. I have my belly button, and for my face piercings, I have my septum, my paired nostrils. On my left side, I have my eyebrow, and on my right cheek, I have a dermal. On my left ear, I have 3 lobes, a helix, and a rook. And on my right ear, I have 3 lobes, my conch, and 2 flat piercings. But I don't know what the total is. I think it's like 17 or something. But
Ooh, yeah.
Bree,
Okay.
show us what you have.
Okay, so on my body, I have my top navel and bottom navel pierced.
They have some gorgeous gold hoops.
Yes, Kylie originally thought up the idea of stretching it with stacking hoops in my navel.
I saw it on like Instagram one day, and I was like, I have to do this.
Okay,
to
give
someone.
credit where it's due. Find her and we'll tag her.
One day.
And then on my face, I have my septum, my right nostril. I'm about to get my left re-pierced. And then I have my left eyebrow, a right dermal. And then on my ears, on my left ear, I have 3 lobes, a conch, a helix, and a flat, and a tragus. And then I need to catch up.
I need to catch up, guys.
And then on my right, I have 3 lobes, 2 conches, and a tragus. Because my ear like folds over, so I can't get helixes on my right ear.
It's one of the ears. I need to look up the name. I forget, but it's like where the cartilage is extra hard and there's a harder fold.
Yeah. It's like I could get my helix pierced, but you would like not be able to see it.
Yeah, and the healing is a lot harder too.
It is a lot harder.
It's a very different process.
Yeah. I remember I was like 16 and I was telling my mom I wanted a helix, and I like pointed to my right ear and she was like, absolutely not, you can't do that because your ears fold over like mine do. Yeah. And so she told me that she went to a piercer and he told her the same thing, that she didn't have the anatomy for it.
Yeah.
And
I
so
wish
for
we
like
push a flat for it instead.
Yes, but I mean she didn't know. Yeah. And so for like the next 2 years I was like, I don't even have the anatomy for helix piercings. Yeah. And then when I turned 18, I went and they were like, yeah, you could do it on your other ear. And I was like, I never even thought about doing that. Yeah. So that just goes to show though how important it is to like talk to someone who knows about anatomy and has experience in the field and can see what you have the anatomy for if you are interested in piercings.
And not just turning it away, but offering something else. I think that is so important.
Oh my goodness, yes.
So important.
It is so important, and especially like with navels. Yeah. How we have to turn away so many people for navels, but I feel like after we started offering the floating navel, we are able to accept like maybe half of those girls who want a navel. We can accept like half of them who don't have the anatomy for it for a floating navel, and it makes me. I hate turning people down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my goodness, I hate it.
Even if they say no too, it's like the fact that you try and you like it's about their well-being every time we do turn someone away.
Oh, for sure.
They can say no. That could be their dream piercing and you crush their dreams, unfortunately. But there's gonna be those people who are like thankful, that you offered something else
for sure,
that are still interested. And if you just turn them down, you're not gonna get that satisfied customer or client still. So.
Exactly, because like what if they had a bad experience and then they never wanted to get a piercing again? I swear, after my tragus horror story, which that should be a whole other episode, my tragus horror story.
Bree's tragus story.
Oh my goodness, they're so bad. That like they just don't want to get pierced again, and they don't try it again because it was so bad. Like,
and they think that that's what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's not how it is for all piercings, especially if you have actually have the anatomy for what you want to get pierced. Like,
Yeah.
and there's always other options.
Definitely.
For sure.
What is it like being a young woman with tattoo and piercings?
Oh, we're starting to get into the nitty-gritty. Okay, so
Yeah.
I think there's so many different categories into this topic, but to sum it up, like, I think we want to kind of go over, like, how people react to us and, like, what it feels like and all of that, you know. I think up here, you know, you can't see a lot of my modifications right now. Obviously, you can see my piercings and my arm tattoos, but I have a full leg sleeve. It's really awesome, you know. Shout out to my dad. But, you know, like, wearing shorts out in public and stuff, like, the looks that I get, and I forget why, I think is one of the funniest things. Like, I remember specifically, I was with one of my dear friends, Hannah, and she's also pretty, you know, covered in tattoos, and we were walking around Walmart or something, and there were, like, so many people, like, just staring at us, and I remember looking over to her, and I was like, am I crazy? Like, why are these people looking at us? Like, what is going on? Like, do I look funny? And then I, like, looked at both of us, and I was like, oh, you know, like, I forget that we look cool, and, like, we are
I forget that we're bad as fuck.
Right. And I think my favorite, though, is, like, when it's toddlers. Like, my dad has, like, tattoos everywhere on his face. You know, he has a large gauge septum. You know, he's very interesting to look at, and toddlers just are so attracted to him. Like, they want to go talk to him and play with him. And I think it's so funny, but I love it, you know?
It is really funny. I mean, and it's also just, like, the innocence of, like, not knowing
It's
what
taught.
those things could represent, because, like, you really are taught that, like, tattoos and piercings are, like, gang related or crash out related. Like, you know, like, you can't get a job, this and that.
Right.
And you're taught that as you grow older, so that your parents are kind of, like, deterring you away from doing those things, you know. But I mean, even just, like, toddlers are always so drawn to people who are heavily tattooed. Like, it's like they're like a walking coloring book. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's really, really interesting to see that.
I cannot wait for our parents' episode. So,
oh my goodness.
We were both raised in very different ways, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, I was raised in the industry, so I grew up going to tattoo conventions and seeing these bizarre people, you know, that it was just normal for me. Like, I don't bat an eye when I see someone with a full arm sleeve, you know, like, cool, that's awesome. But I think where Bree was raised and taught, like, what was right from wrong and normal from not, she has a very different, like, outlook on the whole thing, you know?
Yeah, so I was raised in a very, very religious household. So tattoos, piercings, all of that were, like, very much frowned upon. Pretty much my entire life, I was kind of deferred away from ever doing anything like that, any sort of body modification. I obviously became heavily interested in it because of that. So just, like, two opposite sides of the spectrum. We both turned out basically the exact same. I think that kids really do come pre-wired, because, like, so I have 9 siblings as well. Some of my siblings are like that, where they're super interested in body modifications, and the other half of them could not care less, don't have a single piercing, could care less about tattoos. You know, like, kids really do come, like, preloaded with what interests them, you know what I mean?
But
Which
I mean,
is
like,
super interesting.
your parents are supportive, right? Like,
my parents are supportive now. It's kind of like an interesting, very long story.
I think, it's like this whole episode is gonna be so good. But from what I can understand, like, they don't understand it, but they still want to support you.
Yeah,
right?
my parents, they kind of, like, rolled their eyes, like, when I was gone for the first, like, year after I turned 18, and then I turned back up around when my older sister moved home, because she was diagnosed with cancer, and so, like, and my sister was heavily into, like, tattoos and stuff. So my sister she spent, like, the last of, like, all of her money on these big tattoos and stuff to signify things that were important to her because she thought she wasn't going to live that long.
Yeah.
She's in remission now. She's great. She's doing dandy.
Good.
But during that time, I feel like my parents kind of grew to know that, like, tattoos and piercings are special to people. Like, they are memorials. They are not, like, this sinful, crazy things that just, like, rock stars
they're
do.
celebrations.
You know what I mean? They're celebratory, and they were really important to my sister going through chemo. So they kind of realized that, hey, this isn't like a horrible thing.
Yeah,
and
it's
my
not so bad.
and my first tattoo I got with my parents knowing was a matching tattoo with my sister, and it was just like her initials and a butterfly to represent her.
Yeah.
And they kind of rolled their eyes about it, but they were like, hey, that's really cool that, like, you would do that
For
with
your
her,
sister,
you know what I mean? And I feel like that's when they started being like, okay, we don't have to do this, but we'll accept it in our children. I always have been interested in the field, but yeah, it's been a really cool turnaround. But we are planning on doing an episode with, like,
Full
us
deeds.
and then my mom and Kylie's dad, who are so different.
It's gonna be very interesting.
I'm will excited. Be really cool,
and hopefully it should be soon.
But what is also so interesting is talking to your dad and stuff about how he was raised.
Yeah.
My mom was raised the exact same way. Like, she grew up in the foster care system, in and out of foster homes, back and forth with her mom. Yeah. Like, all this crazy stuff, and they turned out completely different.
Right.
And then they raised us completely different, and we turned out the same. So interesting.
And I think also too, like, the way that we influence our parents, I don't think that is talked about a lot. I think, like, going back to what you were saying with, like, your mom and everything, but like I think we need to save it. I'll save it.
But
I think we do
other,
influence them too. So
I
think it's
could
really
talk about
for
this.
hours. I know we need
I
to
could
switch.
bawl my eyes out, laugh, scream, cry to this whole subject because it is so true. Like, to a certain degree, when I feel like when your parents sense that you've gained consciousness, you start raising them in a sense. Yeah. And it's actually incredible. Like, I've noticed, like, especially my mom, I've noticed her changing over the years. And it's like, I mean, this is your parents' first time being alive too. And once you realize that, it becomes so much easier. Yeah. You know?
They're another person.
Yeah.
But back to us being heavily tattooed women. I say heavily, but I'm not there yet. I want to be. My alter ego is, you know, but
my alter ego. What's your alter ego's name?
What should her name be?
What is her name? Lucilia.
Do I look like a Lucilia?
No.
No, you give Lucy. I love Lucy.
Hi, my name's Lucy.
I think that
What's yours?
Lucilia is her alter ego.
I was
Stella.
Bonnie.
Stella is my aunt's Mustang's name, so shout out to Nana. Hope you're watching.
Stella was supposed to be my name when I was born, and I feel like everything I do is just giving Stella energy, but my name is Brie. Like, it just doesn't match up, you know? Yeah. So my alter ego's name is Stella, for sure.
I love Stella. Yeah, like how we were before and after. I mean, obviously, like, I got tattooed on my 18th birthday. Like, that was my birthday present. It was something that I really looked forward to. But I don't think that I ever, like, when I was younger, middle school, high school, I never really, like, pictured myself wanting to be fully covered or, like, super heavily modded. Right. I always thought, like, it was super not convenient, but obviously, like, it was really nice having my dad as a tattoo artist in case.
Of course, yeah.
But until probably my senior year, when we were planning my first one, is when I really, like, decided, like, hey, I really like this, and maybe I do want more than a few. And at that point, you know, I had some piercings here and there throughout the years, but whenever, like, I got mine, it was as soon as I turned 18. I had already started my apprenticeship at this point, too. So I started getting more into piercings and realizing, like, hey, this shit's kind of cool, you know? And so yeah, I got it on my 18th birthday, and then I got this, like, little one on my arm afterwards. So I only had 2 small ones, and it wasn't until I was thinking of my next tattoo, I guess, and, like, my dad and I had come up with an idea of, like, well, we had talked many times, actually. I'm lying about me having a music sleeve, because music is one of the other things in my life that is, it's up there. It's what I need to, keep my thing going.
It's a part of you.
Yeah. And, since I put my career into one and not the other type of thing, like,
That's incredible. I never got this lore, actually.
Yeah, so I'm not really, like, I don't think I sing very well or anything, but, like, I think music is very important for me and how I function. And so the original plan was for it to be on my arm. And we didn't really have any details on how we wanted to do it. We just knew a music sleeve. And then we were designing my Elvis tattoo, and we got this whole idea. And so we did my Elvis tattoo, and then before my next session, we actually planned out the entire leg around it.
Right.
So for over a year now, I've had a screenshot of like the plan for my leg saved in my camera roll, and each angle, each artist I'm doing, and now we only have 3 more to fit on my leg. And
that can fit. Like, her leg's gone, like it's fully tatted. Her father is so talented.
Like at this point now, like it is a goal for me to be like in the future, I want to be fully covered. I want to be able to enter in female all over categories at conventions and stuff. And so we have my music leg, and then we're doing a Finding Nemo sleeve on my right leg. Silly little sentimental thing. I liked it as a kid, and then I had a bunch of surgeries on my foot. When I was in the hospital, they actually called me shark bait. It was this whole thing, and I just think it's fitting, so we're going to do that on my leg. We kind of have an idea for this arm and what we're doing, but I think that this is really important for people listening, is like, try and plan it out, like if you can. Like obviously the money thing, we get it, like sure. It takes a lot of time and it takes saving, and like you have to really want it. But if you can plan it out as a full thing, and that's like your goal is to be heavily tattooed, do it, because like this is going so smooth, and like they were saying, like I have almost a full leg sleeve, and it flows really good. I'm learning about that in my apprenticeship right now, but anyways.
And something that I also think is so beautiful about Kylie's next idea for her next leg sleeve, the Finding Nemo one, is that she really, like, you can really take like one of the most traumatic experiences in your life and make it like a beautiful memory, and just like have it as a permanent reminder
for sure
on your skin, like something you can see every day, something people compliment every day, something people admire every day, and it's inspired by something that caused you to grow, even if you didn't want it to happen.
And there's so many different ways for that too. It's when people do memorial stuff, and like the cancer ribbons, or like mine, it's silly, it's Finding Nemo.
But you
like for yourself, like that's what it is. And that goes deeper too into the like, well, you're gonna regret the tattoos, or like, why would you get that on you? Because I like it. Because I
wanted to.
Yeah, and like that's all it is, like for some people, each tattoo they can point out this is exactly what it means, and that's awesome, that's great. But it should be just as valid for anyone to say like, I have it just because I want to, like a dermal on my face because it looks sick, like
because it's cute, it's sparkly.
I think it's the same as the hair color, that's all it is
for sure.
So
Kylie talked about the beauty of all of the artwork on her body and how it affected her and what got her to decide what the tattoos were. But I'm going to cover something else that I feel like a lot of people will also be able to relate to. After I got somewhat tatted, I'm definitely not as tatted as I want to be, or as tatted as Kylie.
We're close.
But I got a couple little dainty tattoos that meant a lot to me, like on my ribs, and then one on the back of my arm for my sister, and that's all I had for a while. And then
And how old were you for your first one?
My first one, I was 18. I literally left school early
to go get tatted.
Yeah, to go get tatted. Because my birthday's in June, so I was 18, like my entire senior year, even though I had all my credits to graduate, but I wanted the experience, I know. So I left school and got a rose on my ribs, which was matching with like the family I was living with at the time. And then my next tattoo after that was like I got a snake around the rose to make it more my own. And then my roommate at the time, Juanita, who's also a tattoo artist. She was
Shout out Juanita.
Yes, shout out Juanita Parrish. But she was in her apprenticeship, and she like drew me as a fairy and wanted to tattoo it on me. So I was like, I'll give her my other rib.
Yeah.
She tattooed the other side of my rib, and I got the matching with my sister. And then I got my parents' like birth year, and then like a little heart on my shoulder. And that's all I had for a while. And then I moved to DFW. and then I moved to DFW, and my roommate and very close friend, who's basically a sister to me, she's gonna be on this podcast too, hopefully sometime. But Jenna.
Oh, Jenna.
Yeah, Jenna.
Shout out Jenna. She's also a tattoo artist.
Yeah, she's also the reason I got an apprenticeship with Kylie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because she saw your post, and I had called her shop like the year before, like literally the week I moved to DFW, and they weren't looking for an apprentice or anything, because you guys had your other apprentice at the time.
Yeah.
But crazy how things work. But anyways, so I moved out here with Jenna. She's in her tattoo apprenticeship. Very talented artist.
Yeah, dude, her work is fucking mind-blowing.
It's phenomenal. Like,
And for her
imagine
being
coming out of your apprenticeship and specializing in realism.
Right.
Insane. This talent, and was too anxious to use it on anything. And I could tell, like, I knew Jenna and I knew her tattoo shop owner. And I could tell everyone knew she was too anxious to do any of her artwork on clients. So I was like, just use me as your dummy, I guess, you know? So we started working on my hips. We did patchwork all over them. And that's where she really, I feel like, maybe found her groove. Yeah. And I kind of found my groove and my style that I want in tattoos in the future. Yeah. Because my goal has always been patchwork, always been American traditional, always been black and gray. It wasn't until I got my back piece that Kylie's dad did. Yeah.
Shout out to him too.
Shout out to Daddy Jack. This is not a promo, we swear.
Sponsored by Emerald Tattoo.
Sponsored by.
So it wasn't until I got my full back piece that was all cohesive, all the same thing pretty much, that I was like, oh, maybe I really like sleeves, because I had never had a sleeve before until my back piece. And my back piece is like from the back of my neck to like onto one of my butt cheeks. Like, she's full. Stunning.
Y'all will get stunning. Probably in the next episode a great shot of it. So stay tuned for that.
My thing has always been like, oh, if I do patchwork, I can get so many different things on one like body piece, you know what I mean? On one leg I could have like 70 different tattoos if I do little patchwork all over the place. But now I'm, after experiencing like a back piece and like one cohesive piece of art, I'm able to see that, oh, I actually I see the beauty in both. And so now it's just me figuring out what I want to do with the rest of my body and the rest of the area I have left to tattoo. Because I didn't have that guidance that people like Kylie had. I didn't have the knowledge. I was just letting people use me as a sketchbook, basically. But and I love so cool all too, of it. You know? Yeah, it's cool too. It's a story too, and it helped. It helped my old roommate Juanita. It helped my old roommate Jenna get their careers started, and now they're both very well-known artists in their area, and I just love that I was able to be part of their experience in the field and part of their journey. Yeah. So that's always appreciated.
And it was cool too, Jenna coming back and returning the favor when she was still learning. Yes. It was full circle moment, I think, for you guys, for her to be able to like sit in your chair instead. Yes.
Jenna came and sat in my chair and got what, like 3 piercings? 2 piercings?
I think 2 or 3.
Yeah, like 2 or 3. It was really, really fun. It was very interesting. I feel like she was definitely questioning my skill.
But I mean, you were probably doing the same, you know? Yeah. And of course, like, that's okay. That's normal. It's normal to get nervous. It's normal to feel anxiety between any of those things. But I think it's just a trust, and that's what's so beautiful about it. But
being able to like have friendships where you're willing to give up like parts of your body basically to like these friends.
So different.
It's so different. I even saw it with you getting tattooed by our apprentice Alyssa. Yeah. Like it's a very
and even
interesting
our friend Hannah too, like hairstylist too. That is like they deal with very similar things. While it's not like the chance of harming a body, it's the same sort of risk with like how they identify, you know.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's really cool to have like friends in similar industries or in the same industry,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to like trust each other and practice and learn, because how else are you supposed to, you know?
Yeah, it's
So,
very interesting. You have to be able to hold certain types of friendships and be able to have certain types of bonds. I feel like to like have those types of friends who are willing to do that for you.
yeah.
Unless you're just incredibly gifted and talented, then I can't relate to you. I'm just kidding.
I think for you and me, I think that real experience was actually like not until we did our play piercings,
Right.
because I think that
For sure.
like obviously like you letting me pierce you, or you know, that's just, well, you know, she's the one teaching me, obviously.
Yeah.
When
I
I let
didn't
you
think about
do-
it at all.
What did you do first on me? Was it at my eyebrow or my nostril?
No, it's your nostril.
Yeah, so that's a funny story. So I think I was your second piercing
Yeah.
on anybody? So my first, or her first was my brother, I think.
Yeah, I did his earlobes.
Yeah. And then I decided, I was like, you know what? I'm her mentor. I have to let her practice on me before I let her, you know, do it on her clients. And so I made sure I marked my own nostril. I was like, get it right on the dot, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a good example for me, like putting my trust in you for the first time. And,
Yeah, I was certainly shocked when I walked into work and she was all marked up and was like, "You're
Ready?"
doing my nostril," and I was like,
yeah,
"What the hell?"
yeah. She was like, hold on, let me take a breather.
Yeah, I was like shaking. I was so scared because obviously it's your mentor, you know.
But
It's very nerve-wracking.
No, that's so real. My first piercing ever was on another piercer that worked with us at the time. You know, it came out good, whatever, but obviously I went through that same experience where it was like, oh my God, you know, like I didn't feel nervous at all, but like I felt fine. I was excited, and then getting in front of the person with a needle in your hand an inch away from them, and it's like, oh my gosh.
It's scary.
But I think the feeling of like getting over that and doing it, and then doing it really well,
yeah.
oh my God, it's such an
It's so
addicting
rewarding.
feeling. Yeah.
I like was kind of in a zone in life where I feel like a lot of people in their 20s get, where it's like you don't feel like almost satisfaction or reward in anything you're doing in life anymore, because you're just like
It's a very
in a
awkward
habitual
middle.
yeah, you're in a very habitual phase, you know, like you kind of just have this routine, and it's like, oh well, I knew this would happen, I knew this would be the outcome of that. And so when I started piercing, I also literally thought of quitting several times, because like, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this. There's no way I'll ever be good at this. There's no way, you know, people are actually going to come to me for this. Like, I'm just going to do something else. I wasn't sure what to do, and I stuck with it because it felt right. And now I feel like proud in certain moments, like in my career, and that's something I haven't felt in years.
Yeah. And the fact that, you know, you're still in the beginning too, like even for me, like only being a few years in, I think I still have those moments where I'm like, do I know what I'm doing? Like, am I sure of this? Like, this is your last chance. Is this what you want to do for the rest of your life? Even though it's not, but then like we were talking about, that rewarding feeling of like being really proud of a project, or just like, you know, just even doing one piercing can get you so excited and back into the groove again. But that's another episode again on like
for sure. We're like thinking
just on like the burnout feeling and how like you know, working around it really for anybody, but like how I guess specifically it works for us. So
yeah, for sure.
Like how men
Okay.
Oh.
So this is a fun one, right?
This is a fun subject.
So I'm in a very happy relationship. I've been with the same guy for many years. Sorry guys, I know. I'm a lover girl.
No fun.
But I think I still, not to call myself like hot shit or anything, but like on like Instagram and stuff like that, and like even in person, like I remember I was at Walmart again one time,
Wally
and
World.
like this dude came up to me and was like, hey, I really like your tattoos. And I was like, thank you. You know, I work at Daddy Jack's Tattoos. I'm a piercer there.
Little promo
you know?
moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Every time.
For
Every
sure.
time. And he was like, do you have an Instagram? And so I'm like, okay, you know, give him my piercing account, you know, because I work at the shop, like I said. And then, you know, they always send you a message, and it's like, oh my God, like come on, I thought this was a wholesome moment. But I don't know, I think there's some guys that are just like more attracted to it, some guys who aren't. But I think it's really funny. They get ballsy.
Yeah, certainly.
I don't
But
know.
usually they're just kind of like, oh, so you like pain.
Yeah, they get a little
And
weird
it's
about
it promotes weird ass behavior. I won't lie, it promotes some weirdo behavior, and not promotes, but it welcomes it. And I'm like, oh no, baby.
Yeah, I think there's a difference of like them thinking that that's the way to jump about the conversation.
Yeah.
I think it's the best when it's just nonchalant,
Yeah.
like, your tattoos are beautiful. That's cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Like, yeah, I know, I love them. It's, and then you get to explain and you do it at your own thing. When they like kind of jump towards it, it's fucking weird.
Yeah, it just makes you feel uncomfortable with even responding or having something to say. Like,
I think that goes into like our stalkers too. Like, not that we have like any real issues or anything. Y'all better not come for us either. But like this one time I had this guy, he was weird, right? Came in for a tattoo inquiry, and we like booked him an appointment and everything. And then the day of his appointment, he came in and my dad was taking care of him, and he was like asking to smoke. And then my dad was like, you can smoke out front, and he brought me, he was like, I brought your daughter a gift, and it's like shooters of alcohol. And then he wanted to go smoke it. Like, it was weird. We had to kick him out. I don't know if we can say. I'll edit it out. I'll be like,
He wanted to use an oil burner.
Yes. And
Fully loaded oil burner.
yeah,
Fully
and
loaded
so we had to like
burner.
kick him out, And then there's like, I have this one client. I'm not gonna give any details, but like he comes and sees me a lot, and you can just tell sometimes like when they talk to you, and it's just. That's another, I guess, version of it too.
Yeah, for sure. And then for me, who I like to go out. I like to go to the bars, It's definitely weird. I do feel like I get a lot now because I've only recently been like had my back piece for 2 months or something.
Yeah.
Now,
probably this summer. Yeah.
I definitely like the main cause of men coming up to me now is certainly like, oh, I love your back piece, like that's beautiful, or oh, she tatted, like comments like that I can easily just kind of brush off or be like thank you and walk away, and it doesn't make either one of us feel weird. Right. But before I had like my back piece or even the tiger on my arm. Anything like that. It was just very dainty little tiny pieces no one would notice. Yeah. I do feel like I was hit on more. Really? Not online though. I will say that
people on the internet.
Yes, I do get a lot more attention on the internet. That could be just because my socials are growing as well. Your spans are bigger too, yeah. For sure, I have like more of a reach online. Yeah. But I feel like also just for the reach that I have in comparison to the people who actually reach out as if they're attracted to me, it's probably about equally like the same, if not less. But I do live in Texas. We do live in Texas. We live in the South, y'all. We live like 10 minutes away from TCC. Like, I'm not surprised. I think that like 80% of the people out here would definitely not bring like someone like us home to meet their parents.
I don't know, man.
So it's very interesting, but there is also like a huge group of people who absolutely would and who are equally, if not more, tatted.
I think that's like a thing about like Fort Worth and Dallas. Like,
there's a huge
it's still a big enough city, to where like
huge.
There is that culture, you know, like, because comparing back to where like you were growing up and stuff like that, like you were telling me about how there's like 2 tattoo studios and stuff.
Like, a total of 2.
Yeah, for us it's normal to see it on like
every other street.
Every corner. Sure. So
I don't know. I feel like that should be an experiment because I haven't been going out like hardly at all lately. Yeah. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start going out in cutie patootie outfits and testing this out for you guys. Yeah, keep it posted. I think this is an excuse for me to start going out again.
It's that time of time.
It's that time. It's that time. The rest of the months are for bars. September, November, December.
What about when we get to January?
That's just New Year's.
Ooh.
We gotta celebrate the New Year.
And then it's February. Everybody wants a date. So.
And then everyone wants to
hey,
couple
that's
up for
probably your
February.
best chance to do this science experiment.
Oh.
Moving on.
Oh my god. That's a long ways away, dude.
That's the thumbnail right there. Oh my god, they're gonna make that weird.
Should we use being cute young girls as our means to get views?
100%. That's not even like us using it. That's like it's just how it's gonna work. Unfortunately,
That's the algorithm. If you think it's weird, there's
like,
something
okay,
wrong. There's something wrong
we're
with
not
you.
being cocky. We're not being like weird.
No.
But we're both,
We understand the algorithm and how it works.
and we're self-aware. Like,
She said, and we're self-aware, we're bad. So now, this is our ASMR segment.
I hate when Bria calls herself ugly because she's not.
I hate when Alyssa says she looks like a little boy because she doesn't. Why is
to be problematic out of the group?
That's
I
crazy.
do get bossy, and I don't mean to, and I usually apologize for it, but I can't be bossy.
I feel like
okay.
I feel like I'm a Gemini, so my whole personality is being a crash out.
I feel like Bria's definitely the most likely to get canceled. I'm next. I'm a Libra, so I'm probably safe. Let's talk in real voices now. Old people and strangers, like the comments that you guys get.
Oh, old people.
Oh,
I love old people.
the elderly.
Yeah, let's rephrase.
Okay, but be fair, there is a difference between the judgy old people and the old people who are like, that's kind
Who
of
are
cool, but I
cool.
would never do it.
Oh yeah, and my favorite is old people with tattoos because
Yes.
they aren't living like okay. Time to get into a quick rant. Old elderly people who are angry. I personally believe that they are upset because they didn't live their life to what they think is the fullest, and they have regrets, and that's
Real.
everybody's gonna have some sort of regrets, but being able to say that I, did everything I wanted to do, everything I wanted to try, I gave it my all, and just having like these tattoos, even when I'm wrinkly and stuff, like I'm gonna be able to say that made me very happy once, and that's gonna make me happy in the end too, and I think that those people who have had the feeling of fulfillment, they're always the ones who are understanding. Whether they have tattoos or not, they are always cooler about it.
And it's like, going into that, it's like also just the way that we have like such a freedom of speech, a freedom of control over our own lives, a freedom to do whatever we want and still be able to maintain a job, still be able to see somewhat as equal, just as capable at least. I think is something that a lot of the older generations didn't really grow up as, and they didn't really have access to those sort of things, and it wasn't deemed as acceptable.
Or normal at all.
Or normal at all. I mean, piercing started in the gay and BDM kind of culture, and that's what it was raised as, and that's why I feel like a lot of our parents kind of tried to defer us away from body piercings and things like that. But now they're just seen as like decorative. They're seen as like tattoos are seen as extensions of people, they're not seen as like just like before it used to be like, oh, if you had a tattoo it was like your status in like maybe a gang or something, gang related, and now they're just decorative like pieces on your body. Like it's seen more like as artwork than as a status or also, a sexual orientation.
And then when we have kids, like it's going to be completely different.
Oh, it'll be so different when this generation is raising their kids. Yes.
There's obviously like I think there's always going to be like some people who don't agree with it, don't understand it. Like those aren't. I don't, in my opinion, ever think they're going to die off completely. But I think the numbers are going to get less and less and less, and I think it'll be a beautiful thing to be able to witness.
It'll be great to kind of grow up and see that kind of shift in culture
and continue.
And just continue
what's
to grow.
Already happened is huge, and we've come such a long way, and honestly such a short amount of time. I don't speak as much for tattoos, but for piercings, like the first piercing studio in America or in the world, really, I believe, was in the 70s. And so if we're thinking of like where we are now, that's a lot and a long way. And the fact that, you know, even though there's still some jobs where you have to cover them or you can't have tattoos or whatever, I think it's a lot more uncommon to see that where they have restrictions than it is not to anymore. So I think that that's really cool.
For sure. And a lot of places are willing to work with you on it too. They'll just be like, oh,
Cover
put a
it up,
skin tone band-aid on it and you'll be good
Which
to go, even though that looks
still,
sillier
we
than
should
the
not
piercing.
have this, but you know, at least it's, you know, improvement. It's improvement,
it
and
is
it
an
will continue
improvement.
to do so. So
For
it's cool.
sure. I'm very interested to see and where like the cultural shift happens in the next like 10,
and
20,
what
30
like
years.
We're the old people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because now I feel like but also what I'm interested to see is I feel like it's starting to get to the point now where it's weird if you don't have tattoos or piercings. So, and what is always trending is like what's not accessible to everybody.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering when it's going to be like the big trend to not get a single tattoo and only like get your lobes pierced or something crazy. Yeah, and commitment issues. But, you know.
Like, no tea, no shade, but if you don't have tattoos, you definitely have commitment issues.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure.
And I think like when it comes to strangers, you get mixed emotions, and that goes back to the like where we are now, where it's, you know, it's very common to see somebody else with tattoos and stuff. I think really where it separates is like when it's, you know, casual amount versus like heavily modded.
Yeah.
So like if I'm wearing jeans and a tank top, you know, and you can see like my little ones or my, you know, like,
yeah, like maybe like 3 or
a
4
few,
tattoos.
You know, I think I do get treated a little bit differently than if I'm wearing shorts and you can see my whole leg. But you know, regardless, either way, there's going to be people who just look at you kind of crazy, and there's going to be people who are like, I love your tattoos. And those people that say something are the best because you get to like express it and stuff, and so that's really
and even the
exciting.
people who are hating on your tattoos, like they probably really like them. They just weren't raised that way, or they couldn't get them themselves, or they're too scared to. And some people just have to make you feel bad for their shortcomings. Like some people just project their own insecurities onto yours. So just take everything with a grain of salt, you know? Like if you're worried about the backlash over a piercing or a tattoo, like it's not your problem to deal with.
Yeah. But those nice people, they make everything like the best, you know? Like I love getting stopped and asked about like, can I see that tattoo? And it's one of my favorite feelings.
It's very cool for sure.
How do you guys feel when you look in the mirror?
This is such a loaded question, I feel, because as young women and just young people in general, you know, we all look in the mirror and sometimes we're like, who is this? What, you know, like, who am I? What do I want to be? You know, or like just sometimes not recognizing ourselves in a sense. And I think, for me, like, I like looking in the mirror, seeing my artwork. It makes me feel prettier because I get to walk around with pretty stuff on. Same thing with my jewelry. You know, I like to pose a certain way to where my eyebrow piercing looks good. Or I like making sure my dermal is, you know, sparkly and clean because I have a diamond in my face, you know, and our ears, how we can decorate them in different ways. And, you know, just matching like our necklaces or bracelets to our face is something that is so cool. And so like being able to look in the mirror and be like aesthetically pleasing, I think helps me better identify myself and like how, I guess just how I look at myself, and it gives me a more sense of like whole, I guess, if that makes any sense. But
they're like extensions of yourself, like you
just like a hair color.
Exactly. It's super interesting too because I feel like I started getting a lot more tattoos like last October maybe. And so whenever this summer rolled around and like I was throwing on my bikinis, I definitely felt strange. I definitely felt like a stranger almost to myself because I hardly ever noticed my new tattoos. I didn't notice how they all looked kind of jumbled together on me. I didn't really plan them out hardly at all, which has a huge role to play in the way I felt initially whenever the summer started. But obviously, like, as I started getting used to them and, like, going out and, like, going swimming and stuff and wearing bikinis more.
And the thing is, too, I know there were still people that told you they liked those tattoos.
Yeah,
and
for
stuff.
sure. It was just strange for me to get used to them because they had been on my body for, like, 8 months, and I had never noticed how they all kind of look jumbled together, I guess. Like, with other people, I feel like being perceived publicly and by, like, a group of people, like, you realize a lot more than when it's just, like, you, like, about to take a shower, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like, for us, it's like, for instance, like, I don't see any of my face piercings.
Yeah.
And when I look in the mirror, I see myself. I don't see my eyebrow piercing.
Yeah. And sometimes you're more self-aware than other days, like, especially for women and our hormonal, like, ups and downs. Like, some days I'm like, I have so many piercings. I need to calm down. And then the very next day I'm like, I do not have enough piercings. I need more. Or same with tattoos. So it's an emotional spiral for sure. I feel like it's definitely probably more like that for women than it is men. But also we're just perceived by a much larger group of people and judged by a lot more people, I feel like, for different ways than most men are, which kind of just ties into all of that, you know.
Yeah, but I think that, like, I guess when it just talks about, like, looking in the mirror, like...
Yeah. I definitely had to get used to it. It was very strange. I don't know if a lot of people can relate to that, but I remember making a TikTok video with my friend Trent, and, like, he's, like, completely not tatted, you know, like, I think he has, like, a leaf on his ankle that he just got recently. And just, like, standing next to him, I was like, oh my god, I didn't realize that I look like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's very strange, and, like, that was the first time I'd ever experienced it. But after experiencing it and coming to peace with it, I'm like, you know, I mean, who cares?
Yeah,
you know?
like, I'm accessorized. It's awesome.
Yeah, accessorized. I like them. No one ever sees them hardly but me. All my tattoos are pretty hidden, and now that I've kind of gotten all of that covered, I'm like, I want more. I want people to see that I'm tattooed, you know? Yeah. It's very cool, very interesting.
What tattoos and piercings would you not get in the future? Personally get? Like, how far do you think is too far?
So I think piercings that I want to get another dermal and eyebrow. And I want more on my nose, but I don't think I'm going to have to pass on a rhino. Because it would be cute, but I feel like it's very masculine, and it wouldn't suit my facial structures, and I feel like it would be painful. I don't know. I haven't had it, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
If I tear up after a nostril piercing, which everybody does, I cannot imagine the tears.
Oh my goodness, yeah. That would be... I'm stressed just thinking about getting a rhino piercing.
They're cool, though. They're so cool.
They're so cool, and they look so beautiful. Yeah. But no, that's a scary one to think about getting for sure. If you have a rhino piercing, shout out to you. You're so strong, so beautiful, like, so
for
gorgeous.
Real. For real. What are a piercing, like, that you would or wouldn't get?
So, for me personally, I don't think... You know the... like, people on TikTok who have, like, so many top and bottom lip piercings that you can't even see their lips, and it looks like it, like, pains them just to speak or lip sync to a song because it's so heavy. It gets to a point where it would be an inconvenience, for sure. Like, to where it's an inconvenience, it's a health hazard. It's like, how do you talk, how do you eat, how do you, kiss your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whatever. I would not get that, especially since dental insurance is expensive, you guys.
Yeah, like,
it's like, expensive.
I'm not saying necessarily that it has to be, like, minimal, just, like, having observation of, like, when it gets to be, okay, this is too much, you know.
Yes.
I think it's all fun, you know, and, like, it is, again, all decorating and very personal, and if you want to have a lot, that's fine, but...
Well, I mean, like, so much to where it's, like...
No, I know what you're talking about. There's this one video I saw on TikTok where it was like, shout out her. I'm really sorry. I don't want her to, like, hate on us, but, like, she was like, and they all got done under 2 months or something, and I was
like, oh my goodness, they were all done under 2 months, and I think that she did, like, all of them herself.
It was like
I'm just like, I'm also like, baby girl, who hurt you? Like, doing it, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, like, ooh, I can't wait to get into the episode of like this difference between self-harm and piercings and
Oh my
clay piercings and
goodness,
stuff.
that has been a hot topic on our TikTok
Yeah,
feeds.
people are very interested.
And in our comment sections. I'm getting
You're just gonna have to
sad.
wait.
Yes, that's gonna be a huge one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think I would ever do that just because I can't afford dental insurance personally. If you've got it like that, go you. You know what I mean? Do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But me personally, couldn't afford it.
Well, I just want to take a second and say I'm so excited to see where this platform goes, and thank you to whoever is listening, and I hope you listen to next week's episode too.
Yes. And we'll get better, you guys, don't worry.
Yes, literally, like, bear with us. This is day one, okay?
You can make fun of us if you want. It's okay.
No,
No
be
publicity.
nice.
No publicity
Be
is
nice.
bad publicity.
Wolf of Wall Street.
Gemini and Libra, can you tell?
Love you guys.